So if you watched our flooding video from last year in the spring, when we were doing maple syrup, all of this was going on. So much, much earlier. February, March. Now, I've hand baled this twice, and there's not too much standing water here now. I took out probably 400 gallons of water earlier. You can see this line around the edge where the pine needles have risen up. And this room started to fill with water. There used to be a sump pump crack in there, and I think he left it. I don't think he filled it in. Trying to kind of see what's going on. Yeah, see, this is just a lot of standing muck from leaves. So this leads into our basement, and oh, yeah, he filled in the crack that was here. So I'd gotten concerned about this antique ladder being in here sitting in water. So I wanted to prop that up because it was half underwater. That ladder really isn't going to survive a lot like that. But there's this PVC pipe that is a mysterious, thing to us. And it's not capped. It's just full of stuff. So baby and I just took these 2 buckets and been taking out about 8 gallons at a time, dumping it out here away from the downhill. The kids had taken away my black drain pipe because they figured the flooding season was over, and it had never happened at all. So the sump pump running in the middle of the night was just running under the deck, through the bushes, and right back down there. And I don't know how long that had been happening, but it all was dumping back there. So we've got the drain tile hooked back up. It just sits on that pipe right there. Comes out from the basement under the deck. And boy, I heard that go off this morning. I thought, why does the air conditioner sound like an airplane? So I asked the husband, well, did you hook up the black pipe? He said, oh, it's a sump pump. No, he didn't. So it ran for hours filling that up. But I had noticed what I had drained out now, the water level in that back room is less, so it must have been draining out there, and this seems to be working. The farmers everywhere are just trying to work in this, and we've got this standing rise, so we're in good shape. But then there's other areas that had gotten flooded with fall rains that it's not growing well, and there's just too much thistle. We need to get out there with the plow and plow that thistle under. So the cows are all staying uphill. I'm having to stay home because I can't turn their electric on. I don't know what I'm going to do if they try to get out, but short of grabbing a gun and dropping them, there's not much I can do other than wait for the water to go down. And there's a corner post out there that we have that dividing line, and it looks like the rain had stopped for at least an hour, that it was starting to go down. It's probably a foot down on that post than it was before. I don't know if I can zoom in on that or not. See, you can see it's gone down some, but probably in the last half hour, a light rain has started again, where it was just a steady to heavy rain. And these guys, they're just out here. They don't have a run-in or a pasture. But I can tell, I can see a little bit of green out here, that it's looking a little better. But look at this. You can see the water moving. It's just running downhill right through here. So I've been feeding them at this low spot because that high spot was just so mucky from the snow melting. I'm sorry, guys. It's just wet. Luckily, we ran the barn out of hay, and we're getting it from a storage trailer way up where we get maple syrup. So I brought a truckload of hay up here yesterday thinking I'll get ahead of today so I can go to work on the house. Can't mow, as you can see. I figured yesterday the best bet was to try to drive some of this grass down, because you walk through here to feed the animals, or Georgie wants to play. I lose them in the grass, and I know that there's been deer and some critters out here. I see rabbits running through, and saw a raccoon the other day. I'm surprised there's any more raccoons left around here, as much as I live trap them all. So This is what's going on today. I think we're gonna have to clean up the basement a little bit. The kids, the other side of that little basement room is a Lego storage and play area. And that is the first area to always get wet because the whole thing was an addition on that little back room. It's not watertight and water runs down the wall. It gets right through the door. So I gotta take this little guy in. We gotta get dry. As you can see, I got dressed. I threw some stuff on. I was out here bailing water in my robe earlier this morning because it was right at the level that I thought the kids are still asleep. I don't want to clean up the basement and just have it come in. The semi-trash pump, the water pump I use it for the maple syrup, so I didn't want to use it on that and get rock and stone and mud up in it. So for now, I'm babysitting the farm. I'm not going to work on the house and doing any painting because this situation could change, you know, by the half hour, by the minute, and it's rain weather forecast for another 2 more days, dry for a day. The ground is just saturated and it cannot hold any more water. You step on it and you just hear squish, you feel squish, there's no solid ground. So, I'm happy for what we got. I'm happy for the trailers full of hay. I'm happy that we're not having to be out into the field doing any planting right now, but there's still always farm work to be done, and I'm grateful that I've got other things to keep me busy. So for now, everybody, this is the last day of spring, and we're having our spring flooding just a little late in the year. So the water's going down a little bit more, and I've been checking on the area where the sump pump is draining to, and unfortunately it's leading straight to the bull's pen because it's downhill. But look at this. He brought these storage trailers home last week, and this ground is soft. Look at that. It is sinking right down, and he knows about it. He came out and he tried to block it up, did what he could to make it hold. But see there, it snapped because of the rain where he had it. It snapped that board right in half and sunk it right down in there. The bad thing is, I don't know if you guys know anything about Chevy Longhorns. If you don't, look it up. He's got 3 Chevy Longhorn pickup trucks parked in here. Maybe 2, I think there's 3. And if that tips over, the trucks are tipping over in it. And these aren't, you know, pristine, beautiful collectors, but if that goes, he can't get a truck up underneath it right now, and it's so wet, I don't know what you do to save it. By the time this video goes up, it could be over. It just does not want to stop raining. And you can see that this area we haven't been able to get to with the mower, so I was concerned and walked the other day because if this grass goes over and touches, it's going to mess up the electric fence. But all this has been like trampled down and the storm is knocking it down. But I'm trying to walk out here to check out the edge of the fence to see if it's time yet to be able to plug it in. It looks like it's low enough most of the way, but it just kind of depends on if there's debris on the fence or not, because that'll short out the fence. Oh. You know what? I'm doing something today I never ever do. I'm sitting around the house in my sweatpants. And the fact that I even own anything like this is amazing. But oh my gosh, look at how much this washed. So I'm right up by the creek here. Look at that. That's usually a foot deep. That's 4 to 5 feet deep and it is rushing. It just could not hold any more water, so it gets diverted. There's still water flowing through here, you can see. So I don't know if I can actually walk that or not. But I just gave the cows some corn. And usually I feed the girls up here first in this high, they're lucky, they're high and dry. This doesn't affect them. They come down here to kind of see what's going on, but we'll probably have some ducks in here in a day or 2. So I gave them some corn to keep them up there. That area I can see more grass, and it's cutting from across the field up here. It kind of turns This is a long ways to walk if I can't make it through there. And I noticed the one post that holds the electric going across, it's not braced for a corner. It was something that we added last year when those yearling bulls were giving us trouble in July. It's leaning, and we noticed it was leaning a little bit, but I think that water rushing against it is making that weak, and it is going to have to get braced. This corner post we concreted in, knowing that it was in an area that could potentially have wash, and usually it never goes further than right up there where it's flowing through right now. So I'm going to check out the front yard and try to check this, but I've got to pay attention so I don't fall in. Where I'm standing now, there's just a couple of inches water. But see that right there? That's not that wide. All these grapevines and bushes are growing across, and that's probably, I'd say that's probably 15 to 20 feet wide. It's always nice to get outside and kind of walk around the farm even when the weather is bad. I'm all wet up to my thighs because of that tall grass. And I was looking at the trailer dolly on that trailer. It spans out in like a V shape. So I don't think it can go down really any deeper. And fortunately, we're in a very rocky area. So it probably hit a rock and quit sinking. But I don't know how we're gonna get it back up. He's very smart about stuff like that, so I'm not terribly worried about it. And they're not like expensive, fancy fixed up trucks. They're projects that he gets, and it's a rare truck that they made. I think it was like 68 to 72. They call them a camper truck. Anyways, I like to see from way up high how high the creek is and to see how wet my bees are getting. So I'm walking here. I've got a trench dug when the snow was melting here, and it's slow moving, but it's moving away. My husband's texting me right now telling me to check the fence for sticks to see if I can turn it back on or not. I've been wanting to get out here to weed whack, and my string trimmer is acting up. Oh, the grass is all down, and it is down in front of the beehives. It's terrible. I drove out here yesterday and thought, oh, it can wait another day. I wasn't anticipating all of this. Oh my, oh my. All right, I'm gonna knock down some grass. I'll show you what's going on here. The poor bees are actually out trying to fly. They're practically buried. Look at that. This little hive here, they've got grass right up in the entrance. These are a little taller, but their entrance is down low, and everything in front of them is gone so bad. Like I said, it just keeps raining every day, every other day. I need a farmhand. I need a spare tractor. They're flying in and out. They're working. There's just so much here going on. So I'd taken their entrances off about 3 days ago, and I was out here knocking this grass down the best I could just by stepping on it and driving on it. But now it's all sideways. These poor guys. Oh my. All right, I'm gonna work on this. I'll show you the creek in a minute. But see, even though it's cloudy and yucky, they're still out there. They're trying. It's not raining right now, and it's probably, I don't know, 65, which is still kind of cool, but you know, they'll leave their hives when it's in the 50s. So this hive, oh yeah, I just saw somebody going in with their pollen baskets full, so they're still getting out. The other hives over there, there's some traffic going on also, so they're trying. I was talking about weed whacking. I'm having a lot of trouble with line weld, and if you know anything about that, let me know, because it has never happened before. It seems to be this one roll of string trim that I bought. And you know what? It's really odd that it's a recent thing. The dealer tried to tell me I probably need to replace my bump head. There's not as much activity going on here, but when I was knocking the grass down, there was a bunch right there. So this hive is a little bit weaker. I am putting together a video today about these two hives. They were some nucleus hives that I bought. So yeah, you can see it's really grown up. So I could always come out with a old style weed whacker that's like the golf club that you swing around and knock the grass down. That would work. Oh, see, they're happier now. They're flying around a little bit more. These two were the package bees that I got, and they've been here a little over a month now, and they're doing really well. Oh my goodness, the rapids. See, this is usually so calm, and I can see up in here in the bank where it's washed up higher earlier today. The poor deer, they like to hang out down in this area, and it curves around here. This is a peninsula. Goes over there and then back up on the other side of the bees and then back into the woods. So we park some equipment down here, but never anything that like has to be pulled out to be used. It's just our storage area. Oh, so primarily on the farm, I produce honey and maple syrup, and we've been starting into producing our own nucleus hives, and I'd like to get into queen rearing. There's still so much to know and to learn about beekeeping that I have been keeping bees for maybe 6 years now. They are just a mystery. Just like ladies, I will tell you, in their true content, a hive is mostly consisting of female bees. There are drone bees, and their only mission is to go out, breed a queen from another hive, and come back. So I learn a lot about the bees. I learn a lot about the maple syrup, and I learn everything I can about these crops and hay making. So the more I learn about things, the better producer it makes us. And we had a really good year last year with the hay. I've got a couple of semi-trailers full of hay, and we just emptied out the barn. So I've been getting hay, a truckload at a time with the Dodge, and bringing it up here until he can move the trailer up here to the main barnyard. So in general, I sell the hay, and all this rain that we've been getting, my hay driveway, which he also uses for his trucks, has been flooded. Absolute standing water. Now, I made some videos in the past about putting down a gravel driveway. I never will be able to get that filled in at this rate, and I've been doing it by hand. Believe me, there's been lots of other loads of gravel brought in there that you haven't seen. It's just a low spot where there used to be a basement, and unless we can get a drain in there and run it to the ditch, it's not going to go anywhere. And then if it does get to the ditch, it's just going to sit there. So I don't know if it'll work or not, but I'm planning a French drain and a water runoff drain all the way around our shop pole barn, and that's something that we'll just work on a little bit at a time. You know, we're fortunate that we have the buildings here, but they built that on the low side of the driveway so that everything runs off and runs into that building. And the only way to drain it is to put in an actual pond in the front yard. And with little guys, I don't want a pond in the yard. Any beauty it would bring brings too much risk to the family to have it sitting there. So right now, he's moved his fuel tanker up here and what we call the doubles. Warren, if you're watching, you've got to see these. This is a Michigan thing here, and they were actually outlawed. So this can be used for operation and for storage. but very few people could drive them on the road. They're super tall, super big. And these are our emergency fuel oil storage for the company. Little different thing. So, oh, it's wet. I've been having to drive around this. Let me show you what's going on. So for like 2 years, I've been filling this in with gravel, and this area just doesn't even look like it's been touched. And every time I start back through here because it all gets soil compacted, and all that gravel just gets sunk down in there, creating a base. Eventually, I'd like to have it built up enough that any water would run off instead of in. But I've been driving through here between my maple trees to bypass this if I have to. We're close up next to this bush. And you know what? My boots. Oh, I started a hole here, and I had water going through these holes today. My first time out. So I'm walking around in soggy feet today, which is a terrible, terrible feeling. I just left my socks off. Semi-wet's better than total wet. Time to get to the store and pick up a backup pair of boots, I'd say. These are fine for dry work, but their days of waterproofing are done. Oh yeah, it's soggy. There is nowhere else for this water to go, and it's just gonna sit here and collect. Look at that. So I'm getting requests for great big hay sales, and right now I've got somebody who wants 600 bales to come in here, and this is a hard thing for someone to pick up 600 bales in a semi-trailer. Most people can't maneuver that gate. If you do it every day, it's not a problem. But I just don't know about all this water. I think it'd be time to hook up the trash pump and start draining it out. Here's the ditch, and you can see it's full. There's nowhere for it to go. It's not moving, it's just standing there. Of course, there's a culvert under the driveway that I have to weed whack around, but it's there. It almost acts like this side is higher because I doubt that it's plugged. It looks higher to me. They dug this whole thing out a couple of years ago, and there's no water moving. Earlier today, all of that over there, it runs half a mile down the road, across this field, and over to a county drain that goes to our creek. So that is why we are having flooding. Constant rain, too much wetness, too much ground saturation, and I'm off to go check on the pigs. They're waiting to be fed, and they have been in standing mud for probably 2 weeks straight. If you don't follow us on Instagram, go check us out over there. There's a picture of my poor little pigs standing in the mud. I give them some bedding and give them a high place to be, but oh, their feed bowls are always in the mud, and they have to walk through it to go get it. They've been digging. They are always digging. So everyone, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time. I think I got a trench to dig now. Bye-bye.